CNBC TV 18's Young Turks is at day 2 of the NASSCOM Product Conclave, and I have Dave McClaw and Pankaj Jain from 500 Startups join us. So Dave, from the first time that you invested in India, set up a fund dedicated, part of the fund was dedicated to investing in India, what's been the massive changes that you've seen?
I think we've seen that there's a lot more startups getting started here in India. There's a lot more investors. And there's just generally a lot more interest in what's going on.
A lot of the startups that we see coming up now are in this space of developing stuff that will be on mobile first, that will reach out to much bigger markets outside of the 7 big cities in the country. Is that a focus area for you guys in terms of looking at those kind of startups and looking at those kind of entrepreneurs?
If a company is coming to me and doesn't have a mobile product, I'm not really considering it for an investment. We invested in Culture Alley in Jaipur, I think about almost 2 years ago, when they were still figuring out how to do language learning. They were looking at a global market. Since then, they've repositioned to focus on the Indian market. Jaipur is not a tier 1 city, and they've done exceptionally well, and they continue to do very well. So we're not limiting ourselves to Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. We're looking at companies everywhere: Coimbatore, Hyderabad, Pune. We'll go wherever the companies are and the talent is. So
I think the other thing is we actually have a fund, a micro fund that's focused specifically on mobile products, particularly mobile commerce and on-demand mobile products. And that's a global vehicle. It looks at opportunities here in India, in the US, in China, in Latin America, and the Middle East. So really have a global approach to mobile first markets.
So about valuation, your sense of it, given that you also work in other emerging markets. So if you look at India from that lens, what does it tell you?
At the early stage, valuations have gone up considerably since a couple of years ago, but they're still reasonable. They're still not outrageous compared to other markets. I think at the later stage, valuations are a whole different ballgame. I'm probably not very well qualified to talk about that, but I think we're going to see a return to the basics of business, right? And focusing on unit economics, focusing on revenue, focusing on scaling businesses in a sustainable way without necessarily relying on venture capital or private equity to continue that indefinitely.
So sectors that you like, you spoke about anything that doesn't have a mobile quotient in it, you don't even look at. But what are some of the sectors that you're liking?
So I'm very interested in fintech, education, and health tech right now. I think those are 3 very big and very complicated areas, especially in India. I think there's a lot of white space in all 3 of those areas that great entrepreneurs can go after and try and disrupt. Not sure about the regulatory environment, but I think it's improving, and that, especially in fintech, that could provide more opportunities for entrepreneurs. So those are 3 areas that I'm especially interested in and focusing on right now. Of course, we'll still look at everything, but those are 3 areas that I'm focusing on right now.
Dave, for you?
I think we're always interested in business models that have a transactional component, that have the potential to make money. But I think there's a lot of interest right now in very sexy topics like virtual reality, like drones, like hardware and IoT. And we think those have a lot of promise for the future, but one thing we're concerned about is those are very capital-intensive businesses in a lot of cases. They're really maybe over the horizon in terms of the customer demand. So we're interested in looking at those types of businesses, but again, we probably have a focus more on businesses that generate revenue and are solving today's problems while they might be thinking about tomorrow's problems.
And what about the Uber of X sort of business models and business plans that come your way? Any interest in those?
I think that it's surprising when we don't see a business plan that says they're going to be the Uber of X, or the next Facebook, or the next Instagram, or the next unicorn. I would say that we pay a lot more attention to when entrepreneurs talk in the past tense than in the future tense. We want to know what they've done, not so much what they're going to do.
Let's take a look now at 2 startups that we came across in the NASSCOM Product Conclave that we found particularly interesting. The first one up is 19-year-old Harsh Songra's My Child app. Now what this app does is that it helps parents detect developmental disorders in their children sooner rather than later. Here's a look at Harsh Songra's story. Harsh began work on the My Child app when he was 16 on a MacBook Pro that his dad gifted him. For Harsh, creating this app was a mission close to his heart, given that it took 9 years for his parents to figure out that he suffered from a developmental coordination disorder due to lack of awareness and limited access to information. Harsh today leads a team of 10 based out of Bhopal, and the app available on Android has seen over 7,000 plus downloads.
My Child Lab is actually the third startup which I have started. I started previously 2 startups and I figured out that they are not something which is actually helping the world. So I have if you know about the law of golden circles, I focus on them a lot. So start with why. So we are figuring out why these disorders happen in the world and how we could, let's say, reduce the chances of happening them to a mother. So we are to a baby. Sorry. So we are trying to reduce the chances of a baby suffering from disorder by guiding a mother through the journey of pregnancy. 1. Second, we are trying to increase the age level. So right now the app is between 11 to 24 months. What if you could screen the things when the child is 5 years old? So we are trying to have a very extensive research on that, and we are building content for the parents. So when you are having biological content, it's very hard to develop it into a human readable content. So we are focusing on that. We are trying to create the big books which are around, normal content which could be used by the people. Like in 100 characters they could know about your child. So we will give them updates on that.
The other interesting venture was Watchy, the winner of the NASSCOM Product Showcase competition. Engineered and manufactured in Bangalore, Watchy is a 4-year-old startup providing hardware solutions for video broadcasting. This patent-pending technology provides high-speed internet by combining low-speed infrastructure to enable reasonable quality live streaming.
We have been in the startup ecosystem for 4.5 years. We actually never raised institutional funding. It was more from our own customers, pre-orders, and a little bit of friends and family funding. The pricing is, this is a niche product for a niche category, media, government agencies, police servants. In fact, Chennai City Police is our biggest customer. What happens is we are priced it in enough way so that we can sustain on this revenue. We can sustain our product manufacturing as well as our R&D of the future products. So right now we are cool with that.
The stats that really has me excited is the fact that outside of the US alone, India is the #1 country for Facebook developers right now.